Before I tell you who we're talking to today, I'm going to hit you with a few facts about her that are going to make you want to jump out of your chair and stop procrastinating on your idea and just do something with your side hustle. So she turned her side hustle into her main hustle and now makes $700,000 annually. Her business makes that. One sales email to her database made her $16,000. And when she started, she was selling a single unit for $35 of her product. She now sells that same unit for $500. She's also a mum to Tilby, aged 3, and this is the best part. She doesn't work on Fridays. She generally finishes at 4 p.m. and she takes 2 months off a year for something that she calls Endless Tilby Summer. Her name is Georgia Norton Lodge. Welcome.
Thank you. You made me sound amazing.
So what, right? We hear these success stories on social all the time and it's kind of like, good for you.
Thanks.
Listeners, but for everyone listening, the so what for you is that Georgia has actually turned around and now she's helping other women to make profitable, sustainable side hustles. So that is why we have her in. There's a lot of people doing this on the internet, but the reason I picked Georgia is I just love how extremely practical and realistic her advice is. Plus her energy is like totally contagious. If you are not starting a side hustle at the end of this episode, then I have failed you. Here's what you're getting from this episode. We're giving you exactly what you need to know before you start, good versus bad side hustle ideas and some mistakes to avoid, the 6 steps you need to take to get started, even if you have no time and no budget, and then also, if it's working, how to turn your side hustle into your main hustle. I've been looking forward to this chat for so long.
I have too, and I definitely feel like I kind of begged you to be here. So I'm really excited that it worked.
You did have some good hustle on this, actually. She slid into my DMs and it worked out very well. So, selfishly, I am also very keen to hear from you because I have a business and I actually know how hard it is to turn that business into money. So, Georgia, I've given people some facts, but tell us in one sentence what your business is.
One sentence is hard, but I'll give it a go. I started this business simply drawing houses for people, like pen, paper, scribbling houses. And now, 10 years later, I help women build businesses that make money.
Amazing. And there's a pretty interesting story to sort of how you started. Do you want to just give us that in 60 seconds?
Of course. I've never done this ever before. Yes, absolutely. So my business started in 2014. And it started because I drew my mother's house for this book that I was doing. And when I got the house, I thought it was amazing. And I went to my mum's front door and I said, "Here, Mum, I have this drawing." And my mum is a crazy Greek lady. And she started crying and she was like, "It's amazing, it's amazing." And she put it on in her hallway in this really Greek gold frame. You can't miss it. And my mum's friend came over and was like, "Donna, where did you get your house drawn? I've been looking for someone to do that for ages." And Mum was like, "I know the artist. She used to live in the front room." So I drew my mum's friend's house. Then I drew my mum's friend's auntie's house and my mum's friend's uncle's house. Started an Instagram. I built a website. Georgia Draws a House was born. And then I did that for 5 years. So it existed as a side hustle for 5 years. Every night I'd come home and I'd draw after my 9 to 5, which was actually 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. And then I did that for 5 years. And one day, at the same time I decided I hated my boss, I also realized I was really tired. And in my delirium, I had some people help me do a big mural on the side of a wall. So I did this mural. It is the front of my parents' house on the side of my parents' house. And about 10 days later, the Sydney Morning Herald found a photo of me in front of it, posted a full-page spread in the Sunday paper. I got hundreds of orders and quit my job the next day.
Unbelievable. I also think, I say unbelievable, but it's sort of not. There's a lot in that I think is very relatable.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into some of, you just busted some myths for me and we're going to talk about some of these in the episode.
Awesome.
We'll also put your photo on our Instagram account as well so people can see that house that you drew. All right, so let's dive straight in. What do people need to know before they start? So, for some people, their side hustle might be obvious, like selling something that they're good at making or doing. But for other people, they might actually want to choose a side hustle idea. So can you tell us, is there sort of a good versus bad thing to sell? And then also, what are some of the big mistakes that people need to avoid when picking their idea?
Yeah, so I think choosing a side hustle, there's actually this weird Venn diagram. Is that what they're called? Where the circles all overlap and they look cute. So there's a Venn diagram, and your side hustle has to sit in the middle of this diagram. And if it does not, you will fail, and then your life will be over, and you'll cry, and you won't do it again. So we want to set you up to win. So it has to be something that you love doing. So there's things that make you money, but if you don't love doing it, you can't keep doing it forever when it feels bad, when no one's listening, when no one's buying. You have to love it. You have to be good at it, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to, like, I'm not going to start a side hustle in, I don't know, in bookkeeping, something financy. It's not my vibe.
I was going to say accounting too. I don't know why I did that. You might be great with numbers. I don't know.
I am not.
Sorry.
I'm not great with numbers. So it has to be something you love, so you can keep doing it forever. It has to be something that you're good at, so that you don't suck. And it has to be something, and this is what people forget, that people will buy. Just because you love something doesn't make it good. Just because you're good at something doesn't make it buyable. And just because people will buy it doesn't mean you can do it forever. So, like, I've drawn tens of thousands of houses. That can get boring. I have to love it so I can keep going. And if you can find something that sits in those three areas, then you are onto a good idea. A way to go, I've had like over 700 students go through some of my programs, and they're always like, I get the diagram, but how do I know my idea is going to work? And there's 2 points that I want to make on that. You don't know. You've got to give it a go. Yeah. Everyone gave it a go and kept going. And the more you procrastinate on the idea, the further away you are from finding that out. Action comes from confidence. So you have to give it a go. But if you want to test the waters, there's a thing I call the Instagram expedition. If you can find 1, 2, or 3 other people doing it on the internet, your idea is not new. It is not that special. It's okay. If you can find someone else doing it, you can do it.
I love this because it aligns exactly with the advice that Michelle gave in one of our episodes around just things to know about starting a business, which is there's always someone else with the same idea, and that's actually a good thing because it validates that there's a need for it.
100%. I have personally taught like 20 other house drawers.
Yeah.
Like, there's enough houses for everyone, community over competition. No one's going to be offended. Like, don't go steal someone's IP, but if someone is doing something that you can do, that you want to do, it just, it means it's viable.
Love it. And just to make it clear, this episode is not just for artists. It could be anything that you're selling. You've taught, you told me you taught a lawyer. You've taught like a big mix of people.
In my last cohort, I had a bookkeeper, I had a therapist. So these strategies are just for ideation and for starting out any successful side hustle. The reason they work for everyone is because setting up a business is the same. It's at the beginning stages. Those functions are the same no matter who you are.
Last question, then we'll move on to the steps that you need to take to get started. But is there any advice that you have around, physical product versus digital product, or like something that's sort of low effort and really scalable versus something that might be high effort but worth more value? Any advice on that?
This is just my opinion. However, I think a lot of people start and they go, I'm going to do something like a digital product, something on demand, so that it can be only $12 and there's hundreds of people that want to buy $12 products, so that's going to do really well. That is not only do I believe that's like the lazy way out, that's why you're doing it, it is not easier to sell 100 $12 products than it is to sell one $100 product.
Interesting.
It is just not easier. You just have to sell that 100 times. That is way harder because to sell something is the same process. You have to post on your Instagram. You have to send the links. You have to write the invoices. You have to do that. You just have to do that 100 times more. Yeah. So you think that this is low effort because it's low ticket or low value, but the effort is the same. And when we're talking $12 versus $100, there's I'm going to call it the pocket theory. I completely made that up on the spot. But I believe in the pocket size of people. So a lot of my students, whether they're bookkeepers, therapists, artists, creatives, designers, illustrators, they go, I'm selling this thing. It's $250. I'm going to sell it for 200 and see if more people buy it. The size of the pocket size of the person that has $200 to spend on your random thing has $250 to spend. So the pricing is not that simple. Like the person that has $800 to spend on your random service has $950 to spend on your random service. So people get in this scarcity mindset. That's what it is. And so they try to make these cheap things thinking it's going to work.
Yeah.
It's actually way harder. Even using things that are, websites that are available to you, eBay's, Etsy's, Creative Markets, just those, online marketplaces. It's like, well, I just have to put it on there and someone will buy it, but people have to find you. Whereas if you can focus on, which we'll get to in the steps, if you can focus on step 1, which is build your brand, you will stand out on your own.
Let's get into the steps then. Mm-hmm. So hit us. Step 1.
Okay, cool. So I believe, and don't hate me, but to begin a business, you have to build your brand. And that first step might take as long as step 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Interesting.
The beginning phase is the hardest and it takes a long time. And that's the part where you need grit and determination. And if you don't have that, don't start a business. It's hard out here sometimes.
I can attest. I'm just like crying on the inside. It's so much harder. I used to work with, as my role in marketing, I used to work with a lot of influencers and creators. And I was like, their jobs are so easy. And now I know how hard it is. But not to put anyone off, it's very effective as well. You totally see how much success comes from putting yourself out there online. So
100%. And it's, so building a brand to me is the reason that, the story I tell at the beginning, I was in the newspaper, I quit my job. There's like you said, there's things behind that retrospectively I can see happen. So I had made an Instagram account. So it was actually Zara McDonald who wrote the article. She was just leaving her job at the Domain at that time as well, which is really cool. She posted something on Facebook saying, I'm looking for real estate gifts. And I put my Instagram handle on there. And she found it, so she found the photo of me and wrote the article. So if I hadn't had this Instagram for 5 years talking to basically no one with hundreds and hundreds of photos of my house drawings, she might have seen that and gone, not for me. So that's building your brand.
Wait a second. So the first thing you did to build your brand was open an Instagram account?
The first thing I did, because it was free.
Interesting. And you're saying it took 5 years. How roughly, it doesn't have to be perfect, but after 5 years, how many followers would you say you had?
2023, in April, I actually only had like 7,000 followers.
Interesting. So the point wasn't like blowing up. It's like this is part of core brand building and like having something you can point people to kind of say, this is who I am, this is what I do.
Yeah. And so the person who can find you sees you as established, goes, yep, that makes perfect sense for this moment. Tick. And then when the article is written, that could have been nothing if I didn't have a website for people to purchase on. So you do have to pay for your website subscriptions. You do have to do that stuff. And it feels hard at the beginning when you're feel like you're just spending money, but those things matter.
All right. So Instagram handle, website, anything else people need?
Instagram handle, website. You should get your ABN.
Yeah.
If you are in Australia. It's different in all different countries because that way you can have a .au website, which is nice.
Got it. Okay. And before we move on to the next step, anything else on that brand building?
Yes. Don't pay a designer to do you a logo. Your friend that you want to give $500 to, your graphic design friend, doesn't want to do the job. They're really annoyed by your question. One.
Whoa, okay, I like this.
They are.
Good.
It's annoying.
Okay, this is good.
I'm a designer as
Real
well, and
talk?
I hate it.
All
Yeah,
right.
real talk. They don't want to do it. They get frustrated by it, and you don't need them to do it. So I have something called like the 15-minute brand template in Canva. It's free. You can find it all over everywhere that I am. And it teaches you to make a brand in 15 minutes.
I got to say, I had never used Canva in my life and started using it for my business. And it's so easy to learn. And I use it like 40 times a day now. So
yeah, it's so easy. And this is like, it's a couple of colors, a logo, you're done, move on.
Yeah.
That's actually how my business was named Georgia Draws a House, because one of my friends wanted to write an article about me in Yen magazine for Mother's Day. And she was like, what do I call you? I was like, I don't know. And then I looked to my sister who was in the room and I was like, okay, I'm going to be in a magazine. what am I going to do? What do I call my business? And she was like, well, your name's Georgie Draw Houses. Call it Georgie Draws a House. And we moved right along. And I draw boats. I do courses. I do all these other stuff now. And it's still okay. So you do have to name your business at the beginning too.
Name your business.
Instagram, name, website, and like a logo and colours.
Got it. But don't need to overthink it, but maybe put some thought into it. Check for copyright. Check that there aren't other business names. What about checking handles on Instagram to make sure there's not?
So there's a few ways you can do that. So when you go to register your business, it won't let you. So I would do that part first.
Yeah.
And then if you go to Instagram and, Soph Draws a House is not available, you can pop an underscore at the end. You can pop a studio. It doesn't really matter. That's not an IP issue.
All right, we're powering through these steps. What is next?
Okay, so next you need to build a website. So you've built your brand, you build your website, you can use Squarespace. That's what I use. That's what all my students use. You can get free templates. It's all good. Takes a second and it will do all your payments. Everything will be processed there. And then you'll never do what I did, which is send people my bank details through Instagram. Don't do that. That's step 2. Step 3 is you need to now level up your Instagram. So you've had it exists, but you need to start posting content consistently. Even if you want to tear your hair out and you think no one is listening, keep going, lady. It's very important. And by doing it all the time, you'll get to find your voice.
Yeah.
So you build your brand, build your website, then you level up your Instagram. The next step is you need to, I like to call it demystify digital marketing. There's a lot of wanky terms, a lot of acronyms that are really difficult to understand. Just start a newsletter. It's very simple. They call it an EDM. It's just a newsletter. Start one. Use Flowdesk. It is really affordable and really, really beautiful and really easy to use. And you can have your customers who are purchasing through your Squarespace automatically become email subscribers. It's my biggest regret, not starting an email list sooner, because, like you said earlier, I was able to send one email on the first of each month to bring in $10,000 every single month for 2 years. It was a really good system. If I'd built my email list earlier, that would have been a lot more money.
Social media is like renting space, but your email list is something that you own and you can take with you wherever you go. So it's very important to be building that from the beginning.
Yes, and a really good fact about that is engagement levels on Instagram. So say you have 100 followers. Don't quote me, but this is what I teach. So I could be teaching a lie. We'll find out. Instagram is, if you have 100 followers, it's likely to be seen by 2 of your followers, right? If you have 100 email subscribers, it is likely that 50% of those people will open it. So that's 50 people. It's just way better.
I got a 75% open rate on my newsletter. Thank you.
Jealous. And then so you've built your brand, you've designed your website, you've leveled up your Instagram, you've demystified digital marketing, you've started a newsletter. Then you need to drive it home. So you need to figure out how to fit this side hustle into your life without it taking over your life, because it's a side hustle. And so a side hustle exists in a good place in your heart if it's something that's bringing you extra money, because it's just bringing you more money. And who doesn't want more money? As soon as it becomes this like stressful beast, you just won't be able to sustain it. So you need to work out how to do a really good to-do list and dedicate some time every week to working on your business.
Give us more about how you manage your time then. You mentioned before you were starting early. Can you just kind of give some advice to people around how they can structure side hustle versus full-time job versus other stuff? Yeah,
so like the truth is it's hard. Like the juggle is hard. The juggle right now that I'm doing with a 3-year-old, way harder. Like just going to work when I didn't have a child and working on something I loved at night, not that hard. It was a lot of work. I'm a hard worker, so I don't want to pretend it wasn't, but that was fine. I would wake up early to draw houses and stay up at night to draw houses. Now I juggle that with a child and 3 staff and running a studio and running a whole design agency at the same time. So you can do it. You just have to juggle. Yeah. And I guess the point is once you start making money, that's probably going to motivate you to keep going. 100%. Just very quickly, realistic timeline. You mentioned it took you 5 years to go from side hustle to quitting a full-time job and that being your main hustle. Is that common? Can you give some advice around realistic timelines for people? I think it is definitely realistic to assume it's going to take you 5 years. Those overnight success stories you see are not those. Like, you know, you starting this podcast, it's like your whole life exists behind this before you get to this moment. Like people just cherry pick the moments and make it seem like that. I think 5 years is totally reasonable. And also, if you're trying to start a business, that's going to be your whole life. So if you can't give it 5 years, you're not going to be able to give it your whole life, and you really need to.
Yeah.
In order to scale it to places where you, because the real dream is everyone wanting to start a side hustle, I truly believe, is wanting to do something that they love instead of, you know, being stuck in a shitty corporate job, and also wanting to take control of their life. And to get to that point where you're running a business where you don't work Fridays and you have all summers off and you can go on a holiday, well, that took me actually 10 years.
Yeah, it's so, I think, important to get that message out to people. Do you have to tell your employer that you've got a side hustle?
You should. So, do you have to? I didn't. And then my employer did find out. My first employer actually encouraged my side hustle. My second employer was not down. It's actually in your contract. In some contracts, you were not allowed to, and you have to read your contract to check. Yeah. In my workplace, because starting a side hustle changed my life, I try convince my team to have side hustles because it's the best. And watching them, you know, make money here and there, doing their things that they love, whether it's dancing or finance, if anyone loves that, then yeah, I think just ask your employer. I'm sure they'll be fine.
This makes me want to come and work for you. Okay, wrapping this up then. Side hustle to main hustle. 2 questions I have on this are, when do you know when it's time to sort of quit your job and go all in? And then also the second question is, when do you know when maybe it's time to give up and your side hustle isn't actually working?
It's really good questions. So you will not be ready to go all in. That moment where everything is sorted and you're making the right amount of money, it's probably not going to happen. I did that. I was like, I need to save $20,000 and match my income before I leave. But that was an absurd thing to do, and I wouldn't do that again. I just was very risk adverse at the time. Now I'm not. So I don't think that time is coming for you. I think you need consistent income. Like, you need to know that it's consistent, because, you know, you don't want to change your life or ruin your lifestyle, because then you're just going to go back to your job. It needs to be consistent. It doesn't maybe need to be as much as your career income, because it comes in different ways. So you have more access to it. Yeah. And in terms of when do you know if it's time to give up? That's a really epic, difficult question to answer. And I don't want to make anyone cry. But my students ask me this, obviously. Yeah. Like, if they've been working really, really hard, like one student in particular is coming to mind. If you are doing everything right, you are posting every day, you have your website, you are asking people to purchase. You're not just posting things and hoping for the best. If you are doing everything right, you've been building a brand and no one is coming to you, and you are not able to knock on people's doors and get jobs, if you can 100% hand on your heart say you're doing all of that, then I would challenge you to check that diagram. Is it something you love? Is it something you're good at? And is it something people will buy? And maybe you've just missed the is it something people will buy portion.
Yeah, I would say maybe people just don't want what you're making.
Yeah. And or maybe you're not marketing it correctly. Yeah. Usually I think it's a marketing thing. Yeah. Like, you can sell, and like, you see what people sell. Like, there is a man, he's amazing. He literally sells paintings of fried eggs. Have you seen that guy?
No.
All he does is he paints his wife's fried egg every single day. He's a really good painter. And he just sells fried eggs.
Yeah. There's a market for everything. Yeah. Okay, very last question. One piece of advice that you wish someone gave you before you started this whole thing.
Dream jobs are made, not found.
Oh, I love that.
And you can make it yourself, and the ball is in your court.